Who made whistling a thing? Welcome everybody to Crossing the Streams. Oh, this is episode 81. Can you believe it? 81.
Isn't that Calvin Johnson's number?
I don't even know who that is, but I'm sure it's sports. It's not my
wide
thing.
receiver, Detroit Lions, Hall of Fame.
I think the last time I was on Thanksgiving was episode 50, right? Thanksgiving week.
Something like that. I think it might have been even before episode 50.
No, it was before, because I remember saying to you guys, like, you should do a cooking show. So
that's right.
Yeah, we didn't do it because our lawyer said not to.
I don't blame
them. They said you could sue it. No, anyway, I'm just kidding. All right, welcome. All right, let's kick off with the theme song. Let's not rob it. Mick, we're gonna let you do the first one there. Go ahead.
Here's the story of some lonely fellows who spend way too much time watching the TV. All of them have jobs and friends. Well, not really. Just between you and me.
I'm going to go, then you, Ron. They made a live show out of their hobby. Every TV watcher's TV watching dream. Jeff, Ronsell, and Bob, and there's Howard. They call it Crossing Streams.
And then one day they went live on all the platforms. You could hear the people laugh and shout and scream. Still can't find another word that rhymes with platform. But man, we cross those streams. Here we go.
We cross the streams.
We cross
the streams.
That's the way we do it.
Here we cross the streams. All right. Welcome to Crossing the Streams, the ultimate TV show. The ultimate show where we discuss what should I be watching? What should I be watching next? Oh my goodness. What should I be binging? So much, paying for so many services. Here we are. And we're here to fill in the blanks for you. We got Mick Manhattan with us.
Nice.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Mick, tell everyone where they can find you and such.
Well, everybody, you can find me over on the Scene Snobs. I am one of the hosts of our podcast and a few other shows that we have along the way. So you can check us out there. Go check out thescenesnobs.com, and that's got all of our info and where to find us.
Awesome. All right. We got Jerry. We got Lee. Hey, we cross streams.
Who crossed the stream? Hey, Lee.
And let's see what else we got. 1 second with while we stand for Ukraine. I'm coming through one of your guys' mics or something.
Might be me. Let me move it a little bit.
And so thoughts out to our friends in Ukraine.
You bet. Absolutely.
Fighting the fight. And then the drinking rules is every time Mick mentions Scene Snobs, drink. If anyone drinks here, drink. Technical issues, drink. If you have to be asked what platform the show is on, you're reviewing, drink. If we put your name on the screen, drink. If you forget an actor's name, drink. Basically, by the time this show is over, you're convinced this is the greatest show ever.
The Scene Snobs. Let's get this party started.
Oh, man. All right. So it's good times. All right. Before we get into the shows, and we got lots of great shows, but just a quick reminder, last week we talked about Justified, Strange New Worlds, Loot, and Snowflake Mountain, which Devin's like, this is the worst show ever. He went the Ron Lippert route. All right, so I wanted to kind of give a update. Hey, what's up? There he is. I didn't even see him there. So I wanted to give an update. I've been watching the Ozark. So part of the cool thing about the show is when one of us talk about a show, and then actually going and watching that show. So we were way behind on the Ozarks. I'm in the middle of third season, or maybe not middle, but I just passed the REO Speedwagon concert.
So you're to the part where they almost died at the end of the episode.
Yeah, but that's almost every episode. Yeah,
that's my point.
Yeah, that's every episode. But I am agreeing with you. I do agree with you. It's a very stressful show. But it continues to be really excellent, and it really keeps you going. I mean, it really does.
I think it was you, Jeff, that said this a couple weeks ago about how we are constantly amazed at the range of some of these traditionally comedian actors And Jason Bateman is fantastic. And I mean, I haven't seen him in anything dramatic before Ozark. He's fantastic. He's very believable. You can read the stress. I think he does a great job playing off the other characters in the show. And I just think he's an amazing talent. And I've been really impressed with him.
Well, clearly you've never seen the very special episodes of the Hogan Family.
No.
Well, I gotta say the one thing that this show does, I think, is where The Walking Dead went wrong. There are a lot of shows out there that have a propensity to just kill people, right? Game of Thrones kind of started it, right? Season 1, the main protagonist dead by the end of season 1,
Yeah.
right? So, and then Not Afraid shows became not afraid to kill people, right? That
That's
was
true.
used to not be a thing, and now it's a thing. And the problem with The Walking Dead, in my opinion, is they killed off all the interesting characters, but didn't replace them with characters that we cared about as well. It's fine if the new ones coming in, you have a new affinity for and can grow to love them.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of where people eventually, when they got rid of Glenn and they got rid of like the heart and soul of the show.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
I know he dies in the comics too, but you know what I mean? It's just like the whole dynamic. In this show, I tend to like the characters that they kind of bring to the front. Like they introduced her brother, Laura Lindley's Wendy Bird's brother, and this one. I'm like, I like this guy. I like. He seems like he has some crazy background that they haven't revealed fully yet. But to me, and then the girl, who I apologize, Ruth, who's I loved in Inventing Anna, who I believe has won Emmy after Emmy after Emmy for this. This is some of the best acting. I mean, it's like it's insane how good she is. So if you guys haven't seen the Ozarks, check out Ron's review on YouTube. There's 80, soon to be 81 shows streaming on our YouTube channel. Just search Jeff Dwoskin show and it comes up. But this is
so Jeff, I have a couple comments. So first off, I think that shows like Game of Thrones that are developed from original source material, like the books or original screenplays, or just things that are built knowing where they're going with the show right from the beginning. I do feel like they have the advantage over shows like freaking Lost or Walking Dead, or things that you just don't. They just, to your point, they just start killing people off, and there's really, you're not really sure where they're going. The other comment I'll make is that, to your point, also, Issei Morales, who played Del in season 1 of Ozark, I thought was one of the most compelling villains ever, and I was really sad that they killed him off. In fact, I've written a bunch of stuff about how I thought he was the most interesting character on the show. And they killed him off. I later found out that was unfortunately a contractual requirement for him. He was only in for 1 season, and he was going to get killed off regardless. So,
but that was a good death. But his character was
Del.
Yeah, very intriguing. I liked him a lot. That was actually, if he could only stay for 1 season, they should have found someone just as good. And
I agree. And they never really did. And this is just my opinion, but I never felt like they had a supervillain that matched him in that first season. So the rest of the way, I mean, I know they had the lawyer and they had a couple of the cartel guys, but they never really had the same menacing character like him. So
that was always my biggest issue with a lot of shows from not moving on, was like a Dexter. Like, they had this revival where there's all new casts and he's like outliving. I thought that should have been after season 4.
Yeah.
Like, this is over. His family's dead. Move on.
Yeah.
I thought that would have made the show a lot better. But it's that formula of let's keep everybody working, and which I love. That's great. But if it sacrifices like the show and whether it's going to be good or not, it just doesn't work.
I don't know if the actual Dexter series was based on them, but there are Dexter books. I believe that is a series.
They're loose.
Yeah, loose. And then The Walking Dead is based on source material, though they change it up a lot throughout the years. There's a whole comic book on it. The Boys is also a comic book.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to stick with Lost then. There was
Yeah.
no source
Well, no,
material.
well,
with
Lost was like there was a time where, and I'll stand by this too. Desperate Housewives season
Yeah.
1
Yeah.
is one of the greatest seasons of any show ever. If you watch
That
just
was a great
season
show.
1 of Desperate Housewives, it's brilliant because it had a beginning and it had an end. It was
Yeah.
a clear arc of story, and then
Yeah.
and that's what Lost was. It was a great first season, and the
Yeah.
same thing with Desperate Housewives, great first season, but then they're like, oh crap, we got renewed. Now what do we do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is
I
why
think you're right.
when I watched Severance, I felt like they're like, oh, we don't really have a season 2, so let's drag out these reveals, and
Yeah.
then we'll just pump some of that, which should have really been season 1 into season 2.
Did either of you guys watch Manifest? On I think it was on NBC.
No, I heard it's coming back though.
Okay, so I've heard similar reviews about that show. That it was a great first season arc, beginning and end, and then
It's like Heroes. Heroes
Yeah.
season 1 was brilliant, and then fell right
Yeah.
off the cliff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into it. So at last, I did this already. I did that. And then, all right. So let's talk about this week. This week we got some good stuff. We're going to talk about Thor, Love and Thunder. We don't usually do new releases, but we were graced with the great Mick Manhattan from the Scene Snob, so we wanted to take advantage of that. So Mick's actually doing double duty, and he's also going to talk about The Bear on Hulu. I'm going to talk about the Orville, and Ron's going to talk about The Girl in the Picture. So I think we want to kick off with Thor, Love and Thunder.
Nice.
Man. So Thor in the Marvel universe is my favorite character. Not so much in the comic books. I do like Thor. I like when he shows up, but is not a great character with a lot of depth and some storylines, but not totally. But in the movies, I loved what they did with him. And actually, Thor is one of those characters that I think just got better and better as the directors went on. Although I really like that first one, Kenneth Branagh, I thought did a great job with that first movie introducing him. The reason I'm saying all of this is because by the time we get to Taika Waititi, he did a really good job with Thor Ragnarok. And there was a good balance of drama and silliness that just kind of worked in that movie. And then the Russo brothers knew how to take Thor on after that and make a really good character. Fast forward to this movie. I'm going to say this right off the bat. I really enjoyed it. Visually, it's stunning. The acting is a lot of is wonderful, and the characters are who they are, and they were fun. But it was just for a Marvel movie and for a Thor movie, it was just too on the side of silly. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see it or not, but it was one of those movies that I was really looking forward to and went into it. And I walked out and I said, you know what? I will see that again. I did have a lot of fun with it. Taika Waititi did a great job with this comedic movie. But it wasn't a great movie. They didn't do a great job with the villain. I've heard a lot of things lately about, well, there's a longer cut and there's a lot that, Marvel didn't want in there because they wanted it at 2 hours. And I was like, that's fine, but you can't sacrifice your villain for that, where he's only kind of in it. He's not even really a player in it. Like, this focused mostly on the protagonists and the jokes. And it just shouldn't be Monair on the books. Actually, that's upstairs. But I do have Stormbreaker right here.
Oh, wow.
So,
Mick's got all the toys.
You're not auctioning that off, are you, Mick?
No, that one's staying with me. That was a chance encounter.
So is Love and Thunder? I mean, is it like Guardians of the Galaxy funny, or is it different?
It's sillier. Like it like, again, the jokes were funny, but it was just too much. Like Guardians of the Galaxy was also that silly and dramatic, that good, good pacing to it and everything. And the story was better. Like this was. Yeah, you get to rock out to Guns N' Roses quite often in this movie. Many of them, many of their songs, but it just and again, everybody was a lot of fun. Russell Crowe showing up as Zeus was fun. Nice. All the hidden Easter eggs. Chris Hemsworth plays a great Thor. He does a great job with it. Natalie Portman was great too. Actually, they improved her character because I thought her character was dull in the first two movies. she was just kind of there to googly eyes over Thor. This was, they did a really good job with her, but it for a series of movies that makes they're great villains, they just really did nothing. And you had Christian Bale playing a great villain, a villain that really stands out in the comics. And they just dropped the ball in a big way.
How many end credit scenes are there?
There's 2.
Oh, wow.
There's 2, and they do not advance the MCU in any way. Just so everybody knows, it is very much a Thor enclosed, which I was fine with. I don't care about that. But
well, you convinced Casey Ryan Plot. I will say that my delay in seeing it is based on the fact I think you're mostly kind, but most of the people called it garbage. I mean, I saw a few people do it. Now, I'll say Ragnarok I enjoyed a lot. My wife didn't. She's not the target, but what I mean by that is that was a real fan service movie, right?
Yeah.
It was. So when you start to move in that direction, you start to change everything. Like I think I heard you say in one of your other clips is, or say something on LinkedIn, then this phase 4 is a hot mess. Like to be able to, for them to go, well, you'll know soon what this is all about. Really? I'm 10 hours in and I don't know what the F's going on. Come on.
Yeah.
Spider-Man was thoroughly enjoyable, but a hot mess. It was just like, let's just make up whatever we need to make up and to make this movie. I enjoyed it. I saw it twice in the theater. So, I mean, I'm not saying that it can still be enjoyable, but like the original 20 some movies, of the Marvel universe, the worst one was still amazing. You know what I mean? I was like, if you had to rank them at some point, but they were still great. And, Doctor Strange 2, I thought was, I love Sam Raimi, but kind of a mess too. I mean, it was like all over the place. And it's like, all those special cameos from superheroes seemed like a huge waste, just a waste. Just like, let's just throw this in for the hell of it, because I hate when heroes can kill heroes like that, because to me, it undermines the entire movie. Like if you can just kill someone that easy, and she killed 4 people. I mean, I know she's powerful in Doctor Strange, but it's like, if it's that easy, really, this movie should have been over about an hour ago. You know what I mean? Because, I don't know. So this movie, I love the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Well, I should say 1, 2. I didn't think was
2 is okay.
I did not like them in this.
Because
they're in it for like a blink and you'll miss it. Not really. They're in it for a few minutes, but they
should have done just a Guardians of the Galaxy Thor movie. That would have probably been pretty cool. Isn't that a thing in the comics? What's his something in the Guardians of the Galaxy? Isn't there a Thor version of that?
Well, I know they talked about the Asgardians and
Asgardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So
anyway, I saw it has a 67 on Rotten Tomatoes, and I saw that it came out July 7th, so it's been out just a week, and it's already grossed 144 million. So by studio measurements, I think they're doing okay. These movies are just print money, so I think they're going to keep making them as long as they're good enough.
It's fun. It's a fun movie, but yeah, I mean, overall, again, everything that's come out from Phase 4 I've liked, but it doesn't blow me away like a lot of the movies did in the first 3 phases.
Well, the other movies all kind of wove together too. You know what I mean? That was part of the brilliance of the whole thing, was they weren't individual movies. They were all like one giant thing. But I think in the end that became their Achilles heel too, because then they had to do things to tie into things, and they couldn't just be who they were. But I don't know. So it's all right. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. So that is good. So let's move on.
I don't know that I'm going to be in a rush to see that movie, to be very honest.
I mean, I can see it when it comes on.
Right. It's going to be streaming like tomorrow on Disney Plus. So
right.
Just go see Top Gun 2 again.
Oh my gosh.
I haven't seen it.
We've reviewed it. Somebody reviewed it, right?
Oh, good.
Tony B.
That's my favorite movie of the year so far.
Mick, my wife and I are already planning on seeing it like a third time. It's
Yeah.
just it's a perfect summer movie.
Oh,
It's
well,
so
we'll go with you, Ron. We need to go see it. So.
Yeah, heck
Right.
yeah.
All right, let's move on. Let's do the girl in the picture.
Yeah.
This is an uplifting one for Ron.
Well, so this was another algorithm from Netflix, and I wanted to, I'm caught up in doing some review. I'm watching some older series that I've already reviewed, and just kind of doing that summertime thing where you just kind of catching back up on things that you forgot what happened. So I saw this. It's a documentary. It's an hour and 50 minutes on Netflix, one sitting, and like I said, algorithm. So I took a shot at this, and anytime you've got the one episode documentary, there's hope with that, because as we have discussed in previous shows, what you don't want is the 6 episode documentary that just is way stretched out unnecessarily and just ends up dumping all this useless information and getting to the exact same point they would have gotten to in one freaking episode. So I went into this show hopeful. And I got to tell you, I think I was rewarded for this. Have either of you seen this documentary?
I saw a preview for it, but
so it's a really fascinating story. In fact, I'm kind of surprised we haven't heard about this before. But bottom line is, or I should say that to summarize the story, a young mother, 20 years old, is found run over on the side of the road. Groceries all over the place. She was clearly walking back to her house. That's how the show opens, and this is all true life documentary. You can look it up, and leaving behind a infant son, and a man shows up at the hospital, claiming that he was this woman's husband, and the infant is his. And long story short, the documentary takes you on a voyage to find out that this woman is not who you think she was at the beginning of the show. It turns out that she was living under a pseudonym. She was actually from Oklahoma, and she was a super gifted student, got a full ride scholarship to Georgia Tech, was going to be an engineer, but somehow met this man, and they ended up living I think in North Carolina. And she became a stripper and was turned out to, do all these unseemly things for people that the husband, pushed her towards, and it was turning into a really, really bad life for this woman. Clearly he was abusing her. Clearly he was, just ripping everything from her. But it's then that you find out that that she is not that woman either. that halfway through the documentary, you find out that this woman was actually was born in Detroit, in Livonia, and was essentially kidnapped by this man who raised her as his daughter. And then when she got old enough, married her. She grew up never knowing who she was, never knowing what her name was. And then once he murdered her, this man went to go to foster care to go get this kid, and managed to get this kid from the school he was at and disappear with him, kidnaps him. And then the rest of the documentary is essentially a nationwide manhunt to figure out who this guy is, who this woman is, who the real identity of this kid is. And it covers the whole country. They're all over the place. They're fleeing the law, seeming moments ahead of time. They're just getting away from the FBI catching them. And it really turns into quite it's a terrible story, obviously, but it is a thrilling telling of this just terrible situation. Without wrecking the end, and I will just say they do catch this man, and they do figure out who he is, and ultimately through DNA and through some of the modern technologies that weren't available when this first kicked off as a nationwide manhunt, they were able to figure out all the characters in this. They were able to figure out exactly what happened, and the retelling of it is fascinating, and it is amazing that something like this in the 2000s, which is when they caught this guy, that something like this could exist for as long as it did. And I think this telling is very good. So, like I said, it's an hour and 50 minutes. I think they do. I think the way they break up the story into its pieces, I think, is very suspenseful. And Jerry with his therapy animal. And I think I think they did a nice job with this. So I think Netflix produced this. They repackaged it and built it in a way that I think was worthy of the Netflix brand, and I highly recommend it. It's not a pick me upper, but I will tell you that it does take you on a good ride, and it does finish how you want it to finish. I'll just say it that way.
Okay.
So
that's good because you took me on a ride there, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, it finishes with them going to see Thor: Love and Thunder, because that's how I hope.
Yeah,
that's how I hope it ends.
That's the love in Love and Thunder.
Yeah. But it is, this whole documentary is elsewhere in the country, and you can't help yourself being here in Detroit thinking, well, gosh, these North Carolina people or these people in Oklahoma or whatever, and then you find out the whole thing freaking started right here in Detroit, where I and Jeff are, and it's listen, this can happen anywhere, and it is scary. So anyway, check it out. I think you guys will enjoy it. It'll be a quick hour 50 for you, I promise.
Nice.
All right. There you go. You heard it from here. You heard it here first.
Yeah, I heard it here first.
And that's on Netflix, right?
It's on Netflix, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's go into hopefully a pick me up with the bear.
Is that Barry Manilow in the picture there?
I don't think the bear is about Barry Manilow.
It's not a pick me up. It's in the vein of oddly enough, because the main actor Jeremy Allen White is from Shameless, but sort of in that same vein where it's dramatic. It has dramatic elements, but it can be funny. It's comes off as a FX show. I swear to God it was on FX, but I guess it was Hulu original. But I know they own FX now, so I guess that's why it came out that way. But it's this show. Jeremy Allen White, who played Lip on Shameless, is in this. He plays Carmy. He was like a nationwide, like well-respected chef in the best restaurant in the country. And he ran the chef. He ran it. He was the head chef. But his brother, who ran like a beef sandwich shop in Chicago, was like a famous beef sandwich shop in Chicago, that was kind of run down and just like family business. He kills himself. You do not see that. That comes into play later. But Carmy inherits everything and goes to run it. Leaves the whole lifestyle behind, and he goes back and he starts running it, and he wants to do it differently. His brother never let him work there. It was always just kind of held him off, like, and you never know why. They never actually say it, but it was his brother and his best friend running it. And his brother knew how to cook. He was very good at it, did his thing, but he wasn't a great business owner. And his best friend is a real knucklehead. It's Scott Ritchie. So when he comes in, there's he has a lot of adversaries going on in this kitchen, going at him in this kitchen, because everybody has been working there for a long period of time. He hires a brand new sous chef who had a failed catering company, but she's very like brash and like kind of wants to run things like a real kitchen, just like him. So he's trying to almost indoctrinate all these people into how the kitchen should work. He makes sure everybody calls each other chef. He's doing his thing. And it's really well done because it's so realistic. They handle everything really well. If you've worked in a kitchen, you get it. The drama of it is all in the kitchen. Like they may go do a catering or something like that, but it's the business that you're following here. It's not the only family drama there is between the brothers and their sister who own this place, and it's about this place. They don't get into the whole thing. So it's like 10 episodes. It's like half hour each of each episode. I finished it in like a day and a half. and I was in. I wanted more. It's got like 100% of Rotten Tomatoes, so I'm hoping it's gonna come back and be here for a sequel. Second season, I should say. But following their mishaps and everything, kind of trying to get this kitchen together and make it a respectable place, and to see like how he's dealing with his brother's suicide, it's just everything really meshes well together. The comedy hits on all the right ways, but the drama hits all the right ways as well. John Bernthal from Walking Dead, The Punisher, things like that. He plays the brother, so they'll do like flashbacks to him when the family was all together and stuff like that. So it's really well done, and the cast of characters are realistic and a lot of fun to follow in this.
Nice.
All right. Casey Ryan plots all in. All right, it sounds interesting.
And these are half-hour episodes, you said?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's why you're able to blast through them so quickly.
There's something about food-related shows. What was the movie with Jon Favreau where he was a food truck chef? Oh my God, that was one of my favorites. Something about food. I love food. Iron Chef.
Yeah.
They brought back Iron Chef on Netflix.
I saw that, and this one is like, if you liked Kitchen Confidential, the book or the series that they did for one series back in the day, if you liked anything Anthony Bourdain or Chef or anything like that, you're gonna love this.
My opinion is that these cooking shows, anything food related, I think a lot of it depends on the quality of the photography. Like, like that chef with Jon Favreau, if you noticed, the photography was gorgeous in that movie.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous. So, I don't know. Does Bear's got to have great photography? I did a show a while back about Samurai Gourmet. You may remember that, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
And those were half-hour. It's a Japanese show, and it's just beautiful photography, and that really makes the show with food. So
very cool. Very cool. Yeah. All right, we're on track to have the shortest show ever. I'm gonna try.
Episode 81. It's a half-hour episode, like the Bear.
Why not?
No, it's all good. So, all right, I'm excited to talk about this one. This is the Orville. I'm a huge fan of this show. Let me.
That's Star Trek.
So the Orville is. I take it. Have either of you watched the Orville?
Negative.
Yeah, I love that show.
Okay, so you haven't watched it. All right, so the Orville is a brainchild from the brain of Seth MacFarlane, does Family Guy, American Dad, who I find to be one of the most brilliant people ever.
Yes.
And so what the Orville is, it takes place 400 years in the future, and it is basically it was originally meant to be kind of a parody homage to Star Trek and Star Trek The Next Generation. Okay. So that's sort of how it got its inspiration. I think he wanted to bring back Star Trek personally, and this was sort of what happened. So it was one of the most viewed dramas when it debuted since 2015, and it debuted on Fox in 2017. It had 2 seasons. There's only 36 total episodes of the Orville, and some of them haven't aired yet. So that's including the 5, I think, from season 3 that haven't aired yet. They did the first 2 seasons, and then they were going to move to Hulu, and then COVID hit. I think this season actually finished filming in August of 2021, and so anyway, so they go from there. So it's the byline is an exploratory ship from Earth faces interstellar challenges 400 years in the future. This stars the cast of the Orville is amazing. Like the way they all work together, they all have these specific types of personalities or quirks, but when they work together, it's like a masterpiece of just dialogue and I think communication and working together. So it's Seth MacFarlane is the captain, right? He's Captain Ed Mercer. Then there's Adrienne Palicki, who she was Mockingbird from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And she was also trivia Wonder Woman in the failed Wonder Woman pilot that never saw the light of day. Then there's Penny Johnson, who's the doctor, Scott Grimes, who you may remember from ER and Critters when he was just a young tad, not a young boy. Peter Macon, Lieutenant Commander Bordas. He's sort of a Klingon-ish type thing. It's an all-male species. I actually had Peter Macon on my podcast. We talked a lot about the Orville. Then there's Thank you. And then, there's Mark Jackson. He plays Isaac, kind of a robot. And then Yaphet is like this just basic goo, and it's Norm Macdonald. So they have his voice for season 3. Anyway, there's a bunch of other BJ Tanner, Jessica Zor plays the security officer. Chad Coleman, who was in The Walking Dead and many other things, plays one of the aliens as well. So it's an amazing cast. Victor Garber, Ted Danson have reoccurring roles. Anyone who's ever worked with Seth MacFarlane seems to show up at some point. Liam Neeson showed up. Charlize Theron showed up once. So, so this was the original season 1. Set 400 years in the future. The show follows the adventures of the Orville, a not so top of the line exploratory ship in Earth's interstellar fleet, facing comic challenges from without and within. This motley crew of space explorers will boldly go where no comedic drama has gone before. So the evolution of the Orville, season 1, just to give you an idea, on Rotten Tomatoes, got about a 30% from critics on Rotten Tomatoes. Season 2 got 100%. And season 3 also right now ranks at 100%. So it's one of those shows. Season 1 is still great. I enjoyed season 1 a lot, but they really got their footing on season 2 and season 3, which is the current season called New Horizon, which is the season 3 is a Hulu original. They changed it's called New Horizons versus season 3, but it is season 3. When I tell you, hands down, the Orville is the greatest Star Trek show ever made, ever, in my opinion. Okay. The fact it came out the same time as Discovery, Star Trek Discovery, which is on Paramount Plus right now, and the Orville out Star Trek 1,000 to 1. 1,000 to 1. And when I tell you there are certain episodes of the Orville that after you watch them, you're like, I cannot believe I just watched something this good on television. I mean, it's like the best science fiction. When you look back at like old Star Treks and stuff like that, a lot of the best episodes were ones that, like the ones with the black and white face and, that dealt with the social issues. Well, Seth MacFarlane doesn't pull any punches with the topics that he's covering, but things are a lot more digestible when they're done in a science fiction fashion. It's not so hidden though, but they deal with a lot of things like really, really well. Like for when you think of Seth MacFarlane, because I think originally people thought of this show as Family Guy in space, and it's not that at all. Now, the interesting thing about season 3, they changed the tone of the humor, right? Now, I hadn't watched season 1 and 2 for quite a while, and I just started watching season 3. I watched it. It was great. I loved it. It was really great, and I thought the humor it's very organic and real. Then I went, because I was interviewing Peter, I went back and watched a few select episodes from season 1 and 2, and the humor is very different. It's very different. It's much more, I don't know how to explain it, but it's more not Family Guy-ish, but it's more like if we were all at a bar and it was just like, you're funny, like, like jokes are saying, like they're very clever. They're overtly clever.
Does it do the Family Guy thing of flashbacks and cutaways?
No Family Guy. It's just if you watch it, it'd be like your buddies at a bar being funny together.
Yeah.
And so it was like, but the series, it's sort of as it found its footing through 2 and into 3, it's become a serious drama. Like it's with some humor in it. So they've moved away from the humor that,
The first season, the pilot episode and the second episode had a lot more MacFarlane style jokes that we see in more of his famous shows. And then it kind of moves into like, because season 1 is when you have the episode about the daughter having to have the sex change into the son because that's the way of the people,
right?
On that planet,
right?
And it's a very heavy show, with a very big social issue, and Yeah, they don't, like you said, they don't pull any punches, and yeah, this is the most Star Trek show on TV today. I still say that. Um, and actually, Seth MacFarlane went to CBS and pitched them this show as a Star Trek show to say, let's return to form, let's do it like Next Gen did it, but we can bring it up to date. And they like almost laughed him out of there. And it is, in my opinion, I know Casey's the foremost authority on all things Star Trek. I don't know what he would say, but I say that this is a vastly better show than anything that they're putting out on the actual Star Trek banner.
I think Casey says Orville is the greatest Star Trek out there. Huge fan.
Okay.
Love the show. Guess I'll have to rewatch. So, but now they did bring a lot of Star Trek people in. James L. Conway was a director. He did Next Gen, Deep Space Nine. Brandon Braga is a writer producer of Next Generation, Voyager. He's written a lot of episodes of the Orville. So there's a lot. Jonathan Frakes, Riker has directed a lot of the episodes. So there's a lot of root Star Trek built into this, and people who are part of it from the old school. Jon Favreau, as a point, who I know are a fan of on this show, actually directed the pilot of the Orville, right? So, which actually features Rob Lowe in a character that they bring back later. I think one of the brilliant things about this show is how they introduce a topic or an episode, and they'll bring it back. They can thread it through. Like in season 3, they're still dealing with. They just had one of the most powerful episodes I think I've ever seen on TV, which was a follow-up to the episode that Mick just talked about in season 1. And so they just did a time travel episode with Scott Grimes. When I tell you, it was one of the greatest. I felt like one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Like it was like I can't speak. And like the music, they use a 75-piece orchestra for every episode. They score it like a movie. I mean, it's beautiful. It really is.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I'm gonna have to check this out.
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
It's worth it.
It's on Hulu. New episodes come out every Thursday. So new episode tomorrow. But I tell you, if you start watching it, you'll love it. If you're binge watching it, you'll notice the humor tone much more distinctly from season 2 to season 3 because you'll be fresh. You won't have had 3 years in between the seasons like everyone else who's been watching it. So, but I think it gets better. I think it's better. It's a weird transition if you're like, whoa, what just happened here? But it's much better.
Oh, sorry. No, one thing I was going to say I really liked about this show compared to like the TNGs or DS9 stuff like that is a lot of those shows back in the day, they would like follow pop culture in a way where, like one of them's like always constantly reading Sherlock Holmes or Shakespeare, this, that, and the other thing. This, like they're actually watching a movie on the deck. They have movie nights, where they're eating popcorn and where they listen to like new music and stuff like that. So like, I feel like it really like, if it's 400 years in the future, you're going to have stuff that, we can identify with, not say, okay, listen, they all read Sherlock Holmes, and I listen, I like Sherlock Holmes, don't get me wrong, but
they have a real affinity for the culture from us, right? Which is where they're from. They make so many references, like the Adrian Palicki has the Journey record on her wall. Because in an episode she sings a song in karaoke. Marvel Spaceman.
Hey, Marvel Spaceman, what's up, buddy?
He wants to know. He just rode the Guardians of the Galaxy ride in Epcot. Oh, Marvel Spaceman. I was in Epcot, and that ride was opening like 4 days later, so I didn't get to do it. I saw the setup of it, the ship, that's outside of it. It looked really cool, though.
Nice.
All right, so awesome. All right, so I think.
So Jeff, can I just can I throw in just a curveball here at the end?
Are we done with the Orville?
Are we done with the Orville?
Is it an Orville Corville?
I can talk Orville.
Is it an Orville curveball, or are we moving on?
No, I was going to move on, but
okay, we can move on. We can move on. I mean, all right, everyone, watch the Orville. It's on Hulu, and make it. I swear to God, you'll love it. So, all right,
I actually am going to check it out this weekend. And Denise, my wife, is super into science fiction, so I will enjoy that with her. So I've been watching old movies. I've been for whatever reason I get into these phases where I watch the old classics like Lawrence of Arabia or 12 Angry Men. I watched just a couple days ago, and I ended up watching Logan's Run, the original from 1976.
I don't think I've ever
Um,
seen that.
so so I just have to say, for those, I mean, some of you may have seen Logan's Run, the original one, and listen, it's 1976. There's no CGI. There's no technology, and how they solve some of the space problems with terrible props, and they do the best they can. But I just will tell you that after all these years, I still find the screenplay and the story of Logan's Run to be a fascinating story. And I feel like if ever there was going to be a true studio caliber reboot of something that I think was a really kick-ass story, I would put Logan's Run right near the top of that list. Because I think there is a great story to be told if some big studio out there was willing to pump the money into it.
You heard it here
just,
first, folks.
Just curious if any of you guys.
That would be a good episode. That would be a good episode. Movies that should be rebooted.
They kind of did it.
They did a show.
They did that movie, The Island.
The
It
Island.
was sort of similar, where it's all the clones that live on and they try to get away. I didn't think it was too bad of a movie.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you just on a side note, Lawrence of Arabia, still a good movie. So just throwing that out there.
Marvel Spaceman. I was annoyed they had the perfect set piece for Welcome to the Jungle. And the Guardians just stood there and didn't fight with Thor.
Yeah, it was
great. You ruined the whole movie for me. Now I know they don't fight.
No, that's only 3 minutes in.
So very cool. All right. Well, this was fun.
Yeah.
Mick,
awesome.
Thanks for joining us again, sir. Remind everyone where they can find you.
Would you mind if I pitch my charity event?
Yeah, do whatever you want.
Oh, I appreciate that. Well, remember, guys, you can find me on thescenesnobs.com. I have all my links to everything there and more. Go check it out. But we are doing a charity event. Jeff is no stranger to this, or fundathons, if you will. We're doing a 12-hour fundathon on July 22nd. We are raising funds for World's Kitchen, which is Chef Andre, who cooks some meals for everybody right now. He's doing for Ukraine and such. And half of the proceeds go to that, and half the proceeds are going to Sandy Hook Promise, which raise funds to help prevent school shootings. That's what we're doing right now. We're going to set up the GoFundMe that week. And we will be doing a 12-hour live event over on the Scene Snobs channel on YouTube. You can go check it out there. And please help out, enjoy it, be entertained, and donate if you can.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing that. Ron.
Yes. Hey, in addition to Wednesday nights, 9:30 Crossing the Streams, you can find me on other assorted podcasts, including every once in a while the Scene Snobs. So enjoy being here. Thanks, Jeff.
Of course.
Thank you.
And then, of course, you can catch my podcast, Classic Conversations. Right. This week, I have Robert Klein as my guest, legendary comedian. Also, check out the Sal and Bob Show. Sal and Bob, regulars on Crossing the Stream, also have an amazing podcast. So check that out. Follow us on Apple or whatever. We don't care where. All right.
just follow.
Just follow. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. And that has been another episode of Crossing the Streams. Join us every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live on Facebook and YouTube. Follow The Jeff Dwoskin Show on YouTube to be alerted every time we go live with your hosts, Jeff Dwoskin, Ron Lippett, Howard Rosner, Bob Phillips, Sal D'Amelio. We're all in the socials. Follow us, listen to our podcasts, Classic Conversations, and the Sal and Bob Show. Check them all out, and we'll see you next week and every week when we cross more streams right here. See you then.